The Healing Church. The Healing Church, founded by Laurence the First Vicar, was the most important institution in Yharnam, and indeed, in all of Bloodborne's lore. Its doctrine was based on the cult of the ancient blood and its extraordinary properties, an intoxicating substance with healing powers capable of significantly improving the physical qualities of those who were infected with it, the so-called blood communion. The powers of the old blood drew pilgrims from all over the world to Yharnam, and the rites of communion pervaded the city's culture in Bloodborne. As a result of this, the Healing Church gained widespread support among the city's residents, eventually becoming the city's governing body. Unfortunately, however, the infusion of blood had an unintended consequence: the transformation into ferocious beasts and creatures devoid of all sense. The Healing Church is one of the main factions within Bloodborne and is responsible for most major events that take place within the game itself. Founding and rise to power. The Healing Church arose from a rib of the Byrgenwerth Academy, a place of study founded by Master Willem. At Byrgenwerth, theology and science collided, with the truths of the cosmos serving as the primary focus of research. In this sense, Rector Willem was not content with speculation but instead invested heavily in archaeology and exploration. The research methods led the Byrgenwerth scholars to delve into ancient labyrinths beneath the old city of Yharnam. Thumaru's underground labyrinths, an ancient fallen civilization that expanded underground. During the exploration of the Thumerian labyrinths, the Academy made its first significant discovery. In fact, it appears that during their expansion, this ancient civilization came into contact with the so-called Great Ones, cosmic deities who guarded absolute truths. Byrgenwerth's research revealed the cooperative relationship between the Thumerians and the Great Ones, a symbiotic coexistence that resulted in an exchange. On the one hand, the Thumerians defended and worshipped the Great Ones. The inhabitants of Thumaru, on the other hand, received the communion of blood and knowledge of arcane techniques. It was the first proof of the Healing Blood's extraordinary qualities, upon which the Healing Church's entire doctrine will be based. Master Willem, on the other hand, detected a threat. The fluid was divine in origin and possessed great power, but it caused a cellular mutation in the organism, resulting in the release of the scourge of bestiality. Thumaru's demise was brought about by the disease. A true pandemic caused civilization to decline and forced it to seal itself within the same labyrinths, hiding from the outside world. Their fate would have been to stand guard over the sleeping Great Ones, protecting their dramatic secret. Willem was afraid that the city of Yharnam would disintegrate as a result of Thumaru's testimony and death, so he decided to abandon his research on the old blood. Laurence, a Byrgenwerth student at the time, disagreed and left the academy to establish the Healing Church, which is based in the Grand Cathedral of Yharnam. Willem's methods were not completely abandoned by the fledgling organization, which continued to explore the ancient underground labyrinths. Years later, they discovered and apprehended Ebrietas, the daughter of the cosmos, a great lesser one. Ebrietas was imprisoned and transferred beneath the Grand Cathedral in order to exploit the blood's powers. The process of blood ministration was discovered by the choir, the highest-ranking members of authority in the church in communion with Ebrietas. The Healing Church was not directly affiliated with the Hunters, but they did collaborate with them upon the Scourge of Beasts outbreak, the first of these church-empowered hunters being Ludwig. Following Ludwig, it was quite common for members of the Healing Church to become hunters. So much so that to this day, many Yharnamites attribute modern hunting to the church, as can be seen throughout the cathedral ward. Quickly, the Healing Church in Yharnam became renowned across the continent, attracting the sick and afflicted who were seeking refuge from their ailments. However, even if they were cured, none could resist the tantalizing euphoria induced by this mysterious blood concoction, and the townspeople became addicted. War with Cainhurst. Despite the power and renown garnered by the Healing Church, its authority wasn't uncontested. At some point following the discovery of the old blood, a Byrgenwerth scholar betrayed his colleagues by introducing the old blood to the vile bloods of Cainhurst Castle. Angered by this act, the healing church claimed that the blood given to the vile bloods was forbidden, and spread rumors that the vile bloods themselves had threatened the purity of blood healing, and become fiendish and bloodthirsty creatures. The vile bloods and the healing church had thus become sworn enemies. Eventually tensions escalated into outright hostilities. A group of church hunters would go on to form the executioners, dedicating themselves to eradicating the vile bloods. At great cost, the executioners had succeeded in defeating the vile bloods, ruthlessly slaughtering any vile blood they could get their hands on as they stormed Castle Canehurst, whilst driving the survivors into hiding. However, Logarius, the leader of the executioners, became the reluctant jailer to the surviving Queen Annalise, and the church, not having the means to occupy Canehurst Castle, destroyed the road to it and allowed its location to be forgotten over time. The choir. Here we stand, feet planted in the earth, but might the cosmos be very near us, only just above our heads? The choir is the elite delegation of the healing church. Alongside the school of Mensis, they are the highest-ranking members of the organization. Choir members mostly consist of scholars, doctors, tomb prospectors, and clerics. The choir made most of the breakthroughs of the church, due to their discovery of the holy chalice that allowed them to have an audience with Ebrietas the Left Behind Great One. We made a video about her in detail. Their ultimate goal is the evolution of mankind, although they use different methods than the school and the rest of the church. The choir, like the healing church and the school of Mensis, pursue ascension. However, while the church pursues ascension through blood ministration, which proved catastrophic, the choir pursues ascension through experimentation and insight gained from the Left Behind Great One whom they communicated with regularly. As well as being the highest-ranking clerics of the healing church, the choir are also scholars who continued the work that began at Byrgenwerth. Members of the choir use Augur of Ebrietas, and a call beyond two of the most powerful hunter tools available in-game, and signature equipment of the choir's arsenal. The choir ran an orphanage to experiment on the children sent to them, and cultivated lumen flower gardens to create kin. The school of Mensis might be former members of the choirs, since the highest-ranking members of the school also possess some of the choir's arsenals. However, the methods of Mensis scholars are far more horrible. They deployed hunters and Themirian kidnappers to kidnap Yharnamites to harvest organs for their blasphemous rituals. Though they are all rooted from the healing church, the choir and the school of Mensis were openly hostile towards each other. Edgar, a member of the choir, is sent to spy on the school to keep them in check. The choir itself eventually split from the rest of the healing church. After the fall of the cathedral ward to the beast, the surviving members of the choir scattered, not having enough time to cover evidence of their work nor relocating Ebrietas. The Orphanage. Hidden within the Grand Cathedral, the Orphanage was a place of experimentation and study, whose members supplied the idea of forming the choir itself. The healing church collected people, mainly young orphans, hence the name, to create a think tank of highly intelligent scholars. The way it is described in the main game, through the orphanage key, the place is a scholarly location that trains the children's minds to become intellectuals. Upon unlocking the path to the orphanage, however, one is led into the lumen flower garden connected to the healing church's research hall. In the past, the place was populated by the patients who were gruesomely experimented on to grant them the eyes on the inside, specifically those who developed the ability to manipulate transdimensional cosmic energies. Once arriving there in the present, the celestial minions rise from the gardens, led by the celestial emissary. A true Great One, this entity just happens to be directly underneath the living failures of the DLC, described as the failed attempts to become Great Ones. By this evidence, the orphanage served as both the genesis for the choir and for the victims of the church's painful and gory experimentation to give humans eyes on the inside. The School of Mensis. The School of Mensis was founded not long after Laurence departed Byrgenwerth. The very first members of the school consisted mostly of former students of Byrgenwerth and some tomb prospectors. Along with Laurence, the school of Mensis contributed in founding the healing church, and thus gained a high seat in the church. Together, they established a foundation of blood healing. After the discovery of the land of Is and left behind the Great One Ebrietas, daughter of the cosmos, the choir was formed from the highest-ranking member of the school to find a solution. Though their goal is to find a way to evolve mankind, their methods are different, and they do research independently. The healing church focused mostly on old blood and blood transfusion, which later proved disastrous. The church deployed hunters to dispose of the beasts, but the hunters later became blood-drunk and transformed into even more inhuman beasts. This unending cycle ultimately resulted in the destruction of Yharnam, and the church spent all of its resources to combat the beasts, and thus they could not have any further research to undergo. The choir had further success. They discovered the importance of lumen flowers in the process of creating kin and successfully created celestial emissary to communicate with Ebrietas, daughter of the cosmos, and focused mostly on the cosmos and further ascension. They formed an orphanage to use children for their research. The school of Mensis, after the discovery of the land of Lauren, starts to deploy hunters to kidnap people for their research. They also control the Hemwick charnel lane to harvest organs from the dead to perform blasphemous rituals. The school also had several contacts with the amygdala, and worshipped them. Many amygdala statues can be found in Yahargul, Unseen Village. The three affiliations later became rivals to one another, and several conflicts sparked. The choir sent agents to spy on the school of Mensis. The school responded by kidnapping members of the choir and the healing church. Archibald secretly worked at the school of Mensis to do research on generating the same blue sparks that blanketed a dark beast. The school provided Archibald with a captured dark beast, and later he successfully created the tiny tonitrus, and bolt paper invaluable arsenal for the kidnappers deployed by the school to deal with the kin deployed by the choir. Some time before the arrival of the hunter, the school used a third umbilical cord to have an audience with Murgo, an infant Great One. The blood moon rose and turned most residents of old Yharnam transformed into flesh-hungry beasts. And on that moonlit night, while old Yharnam was burned to ashes and hunters from many affiliations tried to stop the madman's ritual, the scholars of Mensis, led by Michaelash, sent their collective consciousness to the nightmare of Mensis. Not all scholars agreed with Michaelash, and the handcuffs they wear are evidence about this disagreement. Perhaps that is why Damien, the only scholar who escaped the ritual, cooperates with the hunter. But the school only had one cord, resulting in the stillbirth of their brains. The only surviving member was Michaelash. Ram, a scholar of Bergenworth, sacrificed herself to ascend to kinship, creating a living bulwark to the eldritch truth. Her action forever trapped the mad scholars in the nightmare.